So today I was reading in Genesis chapter 17, and I thought about the following scripture. And so it says in 17, let me start at verse 4. God is talking to Abram, and he says, "As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, thou shalt be a father of many nations. Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham. For a father of many nations have I made thee." And then if you skip forward, it says in verse 15, and God said unto Abraham, "As for Sarai, thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall her name be." Okay. Let me go to 16. "And I will bless her and give thee a son also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother um, of nations." Now, the reason why that stuck out to me is because Abraham or Abram at that point and Sarai, they had no kids of their own. Now, Abram had a child by Sarai's, you know, maidservant, Hagar, and that was their attempt to have a kid. Um, But God explicitly told Abram that he was going to bless him with a child of his wife, Sarai. And so then in these scriptures in chapter 17, he tells them basically, I'm changing your name. Your name isn't going to be Abram anymore. It's going to be Abraham. And specifically, and I should have looked up the names more specifically before, maybe with my concordance or whatever, but Abraham, you know, basically it's like he's designating him now a father of many. So, your name being what you call yourself or what other people call you, he's like, I'm changing what you're referred to as, because of the fact that I'm going to bless you with this. Now you're going to be called this. And the same thing with Sarai. Her name was changed from Sarai to Sarah for a similar reason. And the reason why I thought about this is because it made me think about a lot of stuff I've been learning in recent years about identity and whatnot, and how not just identity though, but also whenever you're having faith for something that you believe that God has shown you that He's going to give you. And if you notice here, God actually changed their name. Now they hadn't even seen this. They hadn't seen this. Abram knew that God had already told him that he was going to have all these descendants and whatnot. He didn't know how, but he had faith that it was going to happen. But then here, the stuff still had not happened. Abram was very old, as was his wife, and still hadn't seen it. And I can identify with that, in a lot of ways where I believe God has shown me there's more, there's something different, but yet it's still not here. And so here he was like, okay, now I'm gonna change your name. I'm gonna change what you refer to yourself as. I'm gonna change what other people refer to you as. So you always hear you're the father of many nations. You're the father of many nations. And I also don't want you to call your wife Sarai anymore. I want you to call her Sarah. I want you to call her by something different so that you see her differently, that she sees herself differently. And so I just thought about that, and it really spoke to me because I'm often reminded or told this kind of concept that you need to start to see everything about you differently, to receive this new whatever it is that God is wanting you to walk in. You have to change the way that you think. And so I believe this is what God is helping them with. And I'm reminded of this myself, that if I really want to posture myself to receive what God has for me, I have to allow my thinking. I have to intentionally kind of think differently, because literally, like, the way that I'm thinking now is the old way. And it's perhaps one of the things that's causing me to still experience, whatever my current, you know, um, state of being is that's different than whatever God is actually pulling me into. So, you know, let it be of encouragement to you if you're also waiting on things, God has shown you something that's very different. Um, like what's some sort of ways that we can change the way that we think, that we can kind of start to call ourselves something different. I'm not necessarily saying you go and change your government name. I mean, but then again, you may be led to do something like that, but my point more so is, kind of like seeing what we're referring to ourselves as and what other people are referring to us as, and how can we really grab on to this new identity, this new person that God is making us into in a way that we're really intentionally using practical tools, practical things that we're saying or practical things that we're doing. you know, when somebody refers to us based on like some sort of nickname that from our youth that had a negative connotation, and like, hey, no, I'm not that anymore. This is who I am. You know what I mean? But I just think very practically, how can we change our names and our how we see ourselves and how other people see us so that, you know, we can better identify with who God is making us to be. Just thoughts that I have based on reading this stuff. And if it is helpful to you, let me know in the comments, y'all.